We are trying to sketch y equals 2 sine x plus pi and 4 plus 2, where x is in the domain minus pi to pi. I've started sketching a little set of axes here, but we'll start with the amplitude. So the amplitude equals 2. We can see that straight away. We can also work out the period. The period is equal to 2 pi divided by the coefficient in front of x, which is 1, which is 2 pi. We can also say that our principal axis, which is normally at y equals 0, is going to be shifted up by 2, so it's at y equals 2. From that we can say that our maximum is at the principal axis plus the amplitude, which is 4, and our minimum is going to be at principal axis minus the amplitude, which is at 0. So we've got maximum at 4, minimum at 0, principal axis at 2. We can kind of put that information in straight away. So we know our graph is not going to extend beyond 4 or 0, and that we'll have a mean value at around 2. The next thing we can work out is our intercepts, and the easiest one is our y-intercept, and the y-intercept occurs when x equals 0, so that's when y equals 2 sine 0 plus pi and 4 plus 2, and that will give us pi and 4, and we know that sine pi and 4 is 1 on root 2. If we multiply top and bottom by root 2, we end up with 2 root 2 over root 2, root 2 over 2 root 2 over 2, which is root 2 plus 2. So we've already got our y-intercept, which is 0 root 2 plus 2. Our x-intercept is worked out by realising that it occurs when y equals 0. So we'll make this whole thing 0. Subtract 2 from both sides and divide by 2, and we end up with -1. So for what angle will we get -1? It seems like that's pretty simple. It might just be 3 pi and 2, because that's when sine is -1. But it's not so easy. So let's just take the usual route, and we'll adjust the domain. Currently the domain is between pi and minus pi. But if we add this phase shift, we end up with pi plus pi and 4 and minus pi plus pi and 4. So really our domain is going to be pi is 4 pi and 4, so we get 5 pi and 4 here, 4 pi and 4, or negative 4 pi and 4 plus pi and 4 is negative 3 pi and 4. So we have a domain between minus 3 pi and 4 and 5 pi and 4. What exactly does that mean? Let's have a look at a unit circle. It's always a good idea to draw a unit circle. So pi and 4, 45 degrees is around about there. 2, 3, 4, 5 pi and 4 will then be here, going around the unit circle that way. But we've got a domain of minus 3 pi and 4 too, so we can go around the unit circle in a clockwise way. And if we start here, we'll go to pi and 4, 2 pi and 4, 3 pi and 4. So that's also 3 pi and 4. And what we want to know here is when is sine x plus pi and 4 equal to -1. And -1 is basically the length of the unit circle. So when will it be -1? And for sine being the vertical line for a triangle, when will it be -1? And it'll be there. Now, you could rightly say that that's 3 pi and 2. However, if we look at our domain carefully, we go around here from 0 to try and get to 3 pi and 2. We're not going to get there because our domain is at 5 pi and 4. If we do go the other way around, we do get 3 pi and 2, or that angle, as we're going around negative. But that's not negative 3 pi on 2. That's in fact, as we go around, that will be negative pi on 2. So going around clockwise, a positive direction, we're not going to get a solution. Going around negative, we do get this solution, and it will be negative pi on 2. So actually, x plus pi on 4 will equal negative pi on 2. There's only the one angle solution in this particular domain. So that means that x is minus pi on 2 minus pi on 4, which equals minus 3 pi on 4. Let's find that on our set of axes. I've divided up into 6, but that doesn't really fit well with quarters, so I can divide it up further into twelfths. And that really over 12 is equal to minus 9 pi. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There it is. So we have minus 3 pi and 4 is there, 0. So we have our x and y intercepts. You can see there that that's not going to really tell us very much for our graph, and that we also need some endpoints. So our endpoints, one of them is at x equals pi, y equals 2 sine pi plus pi and 4 plus 2. And we know that pi plus pi and 4 is 5 pi and 4. And we know from our unit circle that sine of 5 pi and 4 is going to be 1 over root 2. In fact, it's negative 1 over root 2. And so we get 2 minus root 2. Our other endpoint is at negative pi from our domain, pi and negative pi. We know from our earlier work that minus pi plus pi and 4 is minus 3 pi and 4. We also know from the unit circle that that's in fact in the same place, so we also get minus 1 over root 2. So we get 2 minus root 2 there as well. So at pi, we have pi 2 minus root 2, and at minus pi, we also have 2 minus root 2. So we have those 4 points. We know that the maximum is going to be at 4, so we can go ahead and draw our sine